Okay, Google, what's the weather going to be like today?
Today in the Villages, there'll be scattered thunderstorms with a forecasted high of 85 and a low of 74. Currently it's 81 and mostly sunny.
It's news time. Okay, sports fans, let's do this. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible because I think my news days is getting too long. Last week I noticed it was like, what was it, 40 some minutes or whatever. I think that's too long. I try to keep it down to say, really I'd like to keep it down like 15. By the way, I got time for this. Today's Wednesday morning. I'm not golfing today because if all of you guys have been keeping track of the weather down here, we've been having, I don't know if it's above normal or not. It seems like to me it is. Rain, and lots of it. So my golf today was canceled. We had an 18-hole special event today with money holes and things. Had quite a few guys signed up for it, and we were going to play 18 over here at Bonifay. And Bonifay called me up yesterday while we was playing golf. We were playing golf at Glenview. I love Glenview. It's the most unique country club anywhere in the Villages. It's a great place to go. I love going up there. It's just a long golf cart ride for us. It takes about, I'm going to take a guess, half an hour to get there by golf cart if you don't get lost. And there's an area that well, let's go on. I'm rattling again. But anyway, played golf up there, had a great time, went to the clubhouse, had a couple of beers. I even got something to eat. I don't eat at too many of these country clubs, but I eat there. I had Sloppy Joe and what was the special? Sloppy Joe sandwich and a chicken noodle soup. The Sloppy Joe was okay. Wasn't the best Sloppy Joe I've ever had, but it was okay. I mean, I'm not putting it down. The chicken noodle soup was blasé. Had like literally no flavor at all. So you need to step it up with that chicken noodle soup. Come on. I mean, that's your job to make food. Come on. So anyway, we ain't playing golf today because it was canceled because of rain. The courses are too wet and too much water on them, and they don't want the courses tore up. I totally understand, and so our 18 was canceled. I tried to get them to give us 18 somewhere else. They won't do it because, well, they just won't do it. So here I am today. I could have played this morning. A friend of mine called and said they had an opening at, say, 8:30 this morning. But last night I just started feeling a little off. I don't know why. And I just told them no, I didn't want to play, and they couldn't believe it. They go, "What? You're not going to play?" I said, "No, I'm just feeling a little off, so I'm going to bow out." And they said, "Okay." Hope I didn't make them mad, but they can find somebody to take my place. There's all kinds of guys here that play golf. Let's get to the news. Let's go through it fast. That's another family park that's here. It's part of the Villages, but it's a family area where you can have children. Tipsters identified teen suspect captured on video during recent crime spree. This is why I don't think it's a good idea to have kids living here at all. It just always ends up like this. Drugs, shoplifting, stolen golf carts, and I don't know. It just goes on and on and on. That's just my opinion. Take care or leave it. First grade teacher arrested on DUI charge near Villages Charter School. Inside the bubble this week, Florida Trend, which describes itself as the magazine of Florida business, recently published their list of the 225 biggest private companies in Florida. With $977.3 million in revenue in 2017, the Villages, doing business as Villages of Lake Sumter, ranked 59 on the list. Thanks, Ryan. It's good to know. We're doing okay, ain't we, buddy? You know, just so a lot of people don't realize that the Villages, from everything that I know, sells more new homes here in a year than any place in the United States. They sell more pre-owned homes in a year than anywhere else in the United States. It is also the largest retirement community, I believe, in the world, and the fastest growing in the world. And Forbes magazine said that we were like number 10 on the list of 100 best places in the United States to start a new business. I don't care how you add it up. I don't care if you like it or don't like it. It just adds up that things here is sweet. Four-story Trailwind senior living will loom over Sand Hill Executive Golf Course. I don't like it. A 174,109 square foot four-story assisted living center is planned for Trailwinds Village on the north side of County Road 466A across from Pinellas Plaza. Legacy Lifestyles of Palm Harbors is developing the 176-unit Trailwind Senior Living, originally planned to have 120 beds. Wildwood Special Magistrate Grant Watson recommended approval of a site plan for the center at a meeting Tuesday of the Wildwood Planning and Zoning Board. The plan was developed by Tillman and Associates Engineering of Ocala. The center on 10 acres will be at the eastern ends of Trailwinds Village, next to the Sand Hill Executive Golf property, once slated for a hotel. Yeah, that's that property that the villages originally bought. And they put in plans to build homes, and I don't know what else there. Probably maybe a rec center, maybe a grocery store. I don't know. They had plans for that property to make it part of the villages because it's right next to Sand Hill Golf Course, which is villages property. And the people over there at the Wildwood started messing with a developer with all kinds of ideas, I guess. I don't know them all, but I do know what one was, and our developer is very protective of it, and I'm glad that he is. That the Wildwood Commission wanted all of the golf cart trails here in the villages opened up to the public of Wildwood, to the citizens of Wildwood. And that's what started the argument right there. I mean, he definitely said no, that there would not be anything. And matter of fact, I think part of his plan of that property was to put in something like a 6-foot, what they called buffer. And what that means is that there was going to be like a 6-foot area over there between the end of that property and the Wildwood area that he would probably put in a wall or something so people could not have access to our golf cart trails. I mean, absolutely, right? Because they're not paying for those trails. They're not paying amenity fees like we are. They don't pay for the upkeep. And it also opens up a lot of the territory by stealing those trails, I'll say, to more problems, such as burglary, such as loitering, homeless people wanting just to hang around, and all this kind of stuff. So, whatever else that they were trying to get him to do, our developer, I'm going to say, just got mad. And he backed out of the whole deal, pulled back his offer, and said, that's it, I'm done. Went down to Finney and started that property with another guy, by the way. Somebody else owns that property down there, and he got the villages because he didn't know how to develop it. And he worked with our developer to develop Finney and that area down there. And so we're building the properties and whatever and selling them, but the property is actually owned by another company, which I wish I could tell you the name of it right now because I used to know it, but I don't recall what the name of it is right now. But you can probably Google it and get the history of how that's working down there. So anyway, he backed out of the deal and said, that's it, we're done. And so they sold it to this Trailwinds company. By the way, they went, I can't name the construction company, but in Texas, that company went bankrupt. And so we all thought that this over here was going to come to a complete halt, but it didn't. So however his bankruptcy worked in Texas, he must have got out of the deal, and anyway, he put the money over here. Lowe's came in, ABC came in, and I'm glad all that came in because having more stores is nice. I don't go there because it ain't golf cart accessible. So you all know how I feel about it. So I don't go there. I've never been there. I've got neighbors that go there and they love it, and that's great. So anyway, we backed out of the deal. Now that place is there, and it's right next to Sand Hill Executive Golf Course. And I don't know. There's something about it that bugs me. I just don't like. I don't like it. But there's nothing I can do about it. Okay, sinkhole information. Ooh, I think it's on here somewhere. Just updates on the sinkholes they had, what, 6 months ago, maybe? Something like that, up at Calumet Grove, up there by Nancy Lopez. Village of Calumet Grove residents fed up with waiting for sinkhole repairs. Yes, I don't blame you. But at the same time, the sinkholes, by some executive decision by somebody, has to be made that that sinkhole is inactive before they can actually fill it in. And unless that person, whoever it may be, declares that sinkhole inactive, legally, there's nothing they can do about it. They're all on standby, because once he signs that paper saying it's inactive, repairs can begin, as long as everything else is in place, like maybe whose insurance is going to pay for it and all that kind of stuff. Those people will be there. Forthwith. One of two homes severely damaged by sinkholes more than 4 months ago to the village of Calumet Grove has been deemed structurally unstable and not inhabitable, or not habitable. County Building Matthew sent a letter 5 days ago after visiting the damaged homes owned by retired widow, the Doris Morrow. In addition to suggestions that Morrow's home be condemned, Matthews reported seeing signs of major settlement of the supporting soil around the house, which has structural distress in several areas. He said those are signs of unstable that could lead to unpredictable, imminent structure failure or collapse. In fact, the letter concludes the damage to Morrow's house from February sinkhole activity is so extensive and pervasive throughout the structure that repairing it would be cost prohibitive, uncertifiable, and unpredictable as to the outcome, the letter says. This week, Morrow said she couldn't comment about her house for legal reasons. Yeah, I know a little bit about that. The reason why, here's the thing. Her house is condemned. Too much damage on the house to fix it. It's so under the deed restrictions up there, I think it was 60 days, I think, that once a house is deemed to be no good, has to be tore down, you have 60 days for the process to start. She hasn't done it. It's been 4 months and nothing's been done, and I think warning letters have been sent to her, blah, blah, blah. She hasn't done anything. So it came out in the paper, somebody interviewed her or talked to her on the phone or something, that the reason why nothing's been done, she's a widow. Her husband passed away. He was married before, had children by another wife. You see where I'm going here, right? So the insurance company already sent her a check, whatever it is, to have the house tore down and rebuilt. So it must be a sizable check, right? Because it's really a nice house. Now the kids from her late husband from another marriage has come in for their share of the inheritance. They're saying she received this money and they're due to a part of it or something for their inheritance, and so that's the legal problem. That's why nothing's being done. And I can sympathize with her. I can also see the kid's point. I don't know. I don't know what to say other than good luck to everybody. Hey, are you scared of sinkholes? What do you think about sinkholes? And how many sinkholes do they have? And what's happening up at Calumet on the sinkholes? And you know, it's like that's all I get is about sinkhole. They have one or two major sinkholes, you know, and all of a sudden it's like 120,000 homes here. One house got hurt. not fell in a sinkhole or anything. It just, the ground was unstable enough where cracks went through the whole house. The walls, it's a stucco home, so the walls cracked, the floors are probably cracked, and they just decided that, you can't, it's going to cost more to fix it than it would be to just tear it down and rebuild a new house. That's what they're saying. Then all of a sudden, people just go crazy. It's like, oh my God, there's sinkholes everywhere. Well, they're not. Do we get more than our fair share? I'll be fair about it. I think we do. I think the Villages area gets more sinkholes here than the average area of mid-Florida, and you have to divide it up. Southern Florida is different than mid-Florida. Mid-Florida is totally different than northern Florida, and in more than one way. One thing is, northern Florida has cold weather in the wintertime, period. You go up there and it's not unforeseeable. It's not a surprise that in the winter for them to be freezing and below. Down here, that doesn't happen, but maybe, I want to say somewhere between, say, 6 to 10 days in a winter, nights where it'll get actually below freezing, and that's about it. Southern Florida, it's a rarity that they ever get, below freezing. It may happen, but it's very rare. Same thing with sinkholes. Our underground limestone here is what we are basically sitting on. Limestone over a period of years disintegrates. There's a lot of theories as to why. Some people say we pump too much water out of the ground, leaving holes, and these holes cave in, causing sinkholes. Sounds logical. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Sounds logical. Other people will tell you that because of the acid rain that we're getting nowadays, it's washing through the soil, the acid rain is eating the limestone away faster than normal, and so we're getting more sinkholes than normal. Could be. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. And then I also heard somebody over here at Wildwood talking one day, saying that because they're opening that bottle plant, or maybe it's open, I don't know, where they're pumping something like 500,000 gallons of water per day out of the aquifer here, and to make bottled water of some kind and shipping it out. He's saying because of that, it's causing most of these sinkholes. Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe a combination of all three. I don't know that either. But do we get more than the average person or average place in Central Florida? Central Florida, I'll say, would be from Orlando up to, say, maybe Ocala and all the way across, Dayton area and then over to Tampa area. I don't really know the news everywhere. I don't know what happens in Tampa on a daily basis. I know what happens here on a daily basis because I live here, but I don't know. Maybe we do. It seems like we do, but I'll tell you this. Most of the sinkholes, when they talk about a sinkhole, make a big deal about a sinkhole, and I've been to a lot of them and actually seen them. They're like this big around, a little depression of nothing. And they'll wait for a few days to see if that little depression could turn into a big one. That makes common sense to me. And in most cases, no. They have all this equipment set up, and they're checking this and checking that, and then they whoever it is, the fire marshal or whatever, comes in and he deems it to be inactive, and they fill it in, and we're done. And then we move on. And you don't hear anything, or at least in my area, you don't hear anything for the longest time. Then all of a sudden there's a news report coming, another sinkhole. Maybe it's been 2 years. Another sinkhole popped up in the village of. Well, they say another one like something happened yesterday, and it didn't. And then, I'll get the address, and I'll get my golf cart and my camera sometimes, and I'll go to it. And I'll look, and I'll see, and I go, where's the sinkhole at? They go, right over there. They put the orange cones around it so people would be careful, And I walk over to the guy's driveway with a camera, and I'm looking at it. It's just big around. So that's it? Does it go any further under the driveway, or did they said, well, no, they did ground penetration radar and stuff, and they just said it looked like that was it, but they had to wait so many days to make sure it was totally inactive. Ooh, a breeze coming through my lanai. Ooh, that feels good. And that's it. I go back 2 weeks later, and that sinkhole's filled in, and they got grass sitting on top of it, and that's it. So sometimes these sinkholes just get carried away with the stories. They really do. Now, do we get one every now and then that's really a big deal? Absolutely. I ain't gonna lie. The last biggest one I know of is in Calumet, up there by the one I was just talking about, up there by Nancy Lopez. Yes, it's houses that got to be tore down. They really hurt 2 houses really bad. One has been deemed, as I read, and it's got to be tore down. The other one I haven't heard much about. So apparently the other one, I'm assuming, can be fixed. But if they got insurance on it and all this and that, they'll be okay. The other large sinkhole that I can think of off the top of my head, fairly large sinkhole off the top of my head, was at La Hacienda Hills Country Club. I forget what hole it was. I was up there when that sinkhole was going on, actually. And it was like several holes this big, scattered. There'd be like one here, and then there was another one that big over there, another one that big back over there, another one that big over there. But if you looked at them, it was making a big circle, those little sinkholes. And they had it all roped off where you couldn't get on in it. But believe it or not, we were playing golf. There was a retention pond to the right side of that. I read the next day that that retention pond, apparently a sinkhole opened up inside that retention pond, and it took all the water. So now the retention pond's gone. So they didn't do anything for the longest time, and I can understand why, because it was still active. You could tell. Well, as time went on, the ground depression started. Other little sinkholes popped up here and there. And that's how a sinkhole opens up. It ain't like a huge hole that just falls away. I mean, I'm sure that could happen, but that ain't usually what it is. It usually starts out with small holes. And then you get more small holes. And then you get another small hole. And then eventually the small holes, they kind of fall apart, and then it connects 5 and 6 of the small holes to make a bigger hole. And so anyway, it took quite a while for that activity to stop. And once it stopped, then they fixed everything. So the golf course is open now. People are playing. The retention pond was fixed. It was filled back up with water, especially now with the rainy season going the way it is. So yeah, it's bingo bango done, and everything's done and over. But generally speaking, the sinkholes that pop up are small. And to answer everybody's question, do I worry about them? No. I lived in Indiana. In the area that I lived in was called Tornado Alley. I know you've heard that before, but it goes like from Oklahoma over to Kansas area, St. Louis area, and then turns upwards to the Indianapolis, across Indiana area, and it's called Tornado Alley. And we had tornadoes in springtime all the time. They were all the time. I mean, there was nothing to go outside and look at a severe thunderstorm coming your way, and you could see a funnel cloud, or maybe 2 or 3 of them. You could actually see the rotation of the clouds. I did a video way back then of them, and you could watch them. I've actually watched tornadoes miles and miles away that I believe were touched down, and you could see them moving, but they touch down and they go maybe 2 minutes, and then they're back up. Most of the tornadoes are just little ones. You know, they get a barn out in the middle of nowhere, and then that's it. And thank God for that. But sinkholes here is the same way as the tornadoes there. You just get insurance just in case. I had a person even ask me once, you know, do you have sinkhole insurance, and if so, why? Personally, I thought that was a stupid question. I said, well, you get insurance just in case. I mean, I had tornado insurance in Indiana. I never had a tornado hit me. I had fire insurance. Never burnt down a house in my life. So you just get all that stuff in case. I mean, you got car insurance. I know it's a law, but you got car insurance, you know, in case you wrecked a car, right? I've never been involved in a wreck, but I still got the insurance. I mean, so kind of a silly question, really. Okay, a new Mexican restaurant replaces shuttered Beef O'Brady's in Wildwood. Beef O'Brady's, when I first moved here, I went to Beef O'Brady's several times up here at Continental? No. Whatever, the shopping center up here. And I'm not a shopper, so I tell her, I'm going down to Beef O'Brady's to get a sandwich and a beer or whatever and watch a baseball game, and come and get me when you're ready to go. And she said, okay. And so I used to go there quite a bit. And if you go there by yourself and you go to the bar to get like a sandwich and a beer or whatever, they seem to be fine with that. If you go in there with 10 or 12 people to have lunch and to get together or something like that, Beef O'Brady's is awful. I don't care what anybody else tells you. I'm telling you, we've been there a couple of times with my golf group, and we've all decided we're never going to go back to a Beef O'Brady's again as a golf group. The service is terrible. They don't know how to handle you. They don't know how to seat you. They're just terrible. But other than that, villager arrested in theft of golf clubs from golf academy at Palmer Country Club. Jesus, man, what the hell's the matter with you? Stealing golf clubs from Arnold Palmer's. Here's the way I see it, short and sweet. If you can't afford to buy your own golf clubs and live in the villages, then you can't afford to live in the villages. Pancake breakfast to raise money for smart home for disabled Army veteran. They do a lot of that here for the veterans, and not just the veterans, but for disabled people and elderly people with problems. They do a lot of benefits, a lot of special neighborhoods will start a special program like my wife has, the Care and Prayer Group. There's all kinds of areas you go to in the villages that does that. I don't want to say all of them do because I don't know that, but I do know that down at where we're at, because we're in a newer area, that it seems like the younger people think about the elderly more than the elderly people think about the elderly. As dumb as that may sound, because I've been up to the older areas a lot for one reason or another, and I know a lot of people up there, and it seems that they're in more need of a lot of help up there than they are down here. So you would think a lot more of that kind of help would be up there, and the neighbors would be maybe kind of helping neighbor and stuff like that. And believe it or not, they don't. But a lot of the people up there, I don't know if it's because of their health, I don't know if it's because of their age, I don't know. But they don't seem to get out and about a lot, and they don't seem to have neighborhood activities like we do here. I'm not saying they don't have any. I'm just saying, like maybe every Tuesday, Bob has a little breakfast thing at his house for him and 2 or 3 other buddies, and that's it. Or maybe the lady next door, she might have a get together with some of her friends, and they make I don't know, cards, like birthday cards and stuff. Or once a week, some ladies in a neighborhood may go out for lunch at a specific country club every week, same day, same time, these same girls. And that's okay, but that's it. Beyond that, they don't have like neighborhood activities where all the neighborhood is involved with getting things done. So my golf activity on Wednesday, men's Hillsboro's golf outing is what I call it. I call it that to keep it separated from our other neighborhood activities that are approved or controlled by our neighborhood board, which I don't get any of that. But so I control it basically, and well, me and Mr. Bresendine does. He helps me. I do 1 month now, he does another month, because it was getting to the point it was just getting to be too much for me to do by myself. So he helps me out, and that helps a lot. But it's a neighborhood activity. We don't discriminate. Anybody in our neighborhood can play. I had a golf list of over 60-some players. Most of those players didn't play at all. I don't even know why they were on the golf list. A lot of those people on the golf list had moved. Different email addresses has changed. Phone numbers has changed. And they never kept me in the loop. So this last year when we had a meeting, it was decided that we were going to cut the golf list down dramatically, because I didn't want to bother anybody with emails if they weren't going to play and all that kind of stuff. So Mr. Bresendine and I decided that we ended up cutting it down to 24 players that play regularly, and then we have I don't know, like 6 or 5 or something like that of so like if this guy is sick and can't make it, we start calling the sub list. see if those guys want to fill in for a game or two. They don't play every week, but they'll play once in a while, subs. And actually it makes it easier, and that's what we're doing. And Village of Silver Lake woman warned about 3 unvaccinated cats living in her home. See, that's, well, that'll come under some kind of a county ordinance up there about vaccinations and whatever. Villages don't really have anything to do with that, I don't think, but that'd be a county rule. But I do know that that's why I always say check your deed restrictions. Here's a good example. 3 cats. Our deed restriction here says you're only allowed to have 2 pets in your house. 2. That's it. And I know of a lady here, I think she moved out, and maybe moved out because of this. It's been like 4 years ago when we first moved in this neighborhood. She came in with, I think, 4 dogs. I think that's what it was, 4 or 5 dogs. And somebody had complained. They went and talked to her, and apparently the excuse was she said she was pet watching. People were on vacations or whatever, and she was just watching their dogs while they were gone. And she said something like, when they come back, then the animals will be gone. Well, they kept an eye. And then there was another complaint from another neighbor saying this lady had like 4 or 5 dogs, and she tied them in the backyard. That's another violation here. You're not allowed to tether your animal outside at all. And she was taking them out back on the lanai, I guess, and tying them to the chairs and stuff. And they were barking and carrying on, and you know how it goes. So there's another complaint. So this time they went out and told her, that she's only allowed 2, 3 of them had to disappear, and so she takes it to the kangaroo court, I call it, and they told her that's it, that's the rule. You signed this paper saying that you would follow the rules. This is part of the rules. You signed another paper saying that you received a copy of your deed restrictions and you fully understood them. They got you covered every which way but loose down there when it comes to that kind of thing, and you're not going to win. And so they told her she had to get rid of them. And the way I understand it, she told them that these were like her children, and she wasn't going to get rid of them. And I do understand that. So why did you buy the house? I mean, if there's other retirement communities, maybe you could have had them dogs, but not here. So anyway, I think she ended up selling the house, or maybe him too. I don't know, but it's either, I don't know if she was married. Maybe she was married. I don't know. I kept hearing about her. We've also had another person that's been reported once or twice now because she puts up a clothesline to dry her clothes. You can't have a clothesline here. Tells you in your deed restriction. No way, no how. And they've come out and told her twice, I guess, that's it. You can't have it. And I don't know if she got fined or not, but I mean, it's just those simple things that people tend to ignore that I keep reporting here over and over again. Know your deed restrictions. You get a copy of them. They're available on the internet for each district. I'll even give you the email addresses. And if you haven't got the email or the address to go check these different things out, go down to my videos. They're reported in there somewhere. I don't keep track of them either, but it's on villages.net. And off to the left-hand side, there's a thing there, a column of things you can click on, and I forget which one is called Your Community or Community Standards or something. There's over there, you click on it, and then it'll have like Districts 1, Districts 2, Districts 10, or whatever. You click on them, and that's your deed restrictions right there. By the way, I do have some interesting questions coming up. I think I can do it next Wednesday, hopefully. I'm trying to get all these holiday videos in, and then I get a lot of requests for different videos that I try to work on. So, and I know I get these, like, I won't say a tremendous amount, but I get at least 3 or 4 a week wanting to know when Sue and I are going to do a live YouTube live video chat with you guys. And I've explained it before that I'm working on it. I'm not really sure. I got the what's it called, the OIS in my computer, and I played with it a time or two, but I'm not real proficient with it. And but I'm working on learning how to do that. I can do it on my phone with no problem. But the problem with that is when you go live, it all depends on what kind of hookup you've got with your Wi-Fi on the phone. And I've tried doing live here on the Lanai a couple of times, and it always comes up that my signal is weak, and then it goes away, then it comes back, and I don't know why, but it just does, and I don't want to do it that way. And then also, I don't want to have a live chat where only like 3 people are watching. That, to me, that's just a big waste of my time, and I'm not going to do it. If I thought that I was going to have, I got a little over 2,000 subscribers now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's keep it going. I feel like a couple hundred people shouldn't be out of the realm. If I got 2,000 subscribers, I should have at least, I would think, 200 people watching and asking questions. And I know the questions you're wanting to ask, and I'm willing to answer them. But I have to have Sue because, well, as my full-time viewers know, I don't know how much bills are here. Sue pays all that. I'm just happy to be here. That's all. So if you want to know what the electric costs, I got to have Sue here. If you want to know how much the CDD's bill is, cost, how it's paid, Sue's got to be here. How much is property taxes and what's included in that property tax bill, Sue's got to be here. So that's why. And then anything you want to ask me, of course, is like me, I'm sure all the important questions will come my way. Like, what kind of beer do you drink, and what's your favorite golf course, and, what golf cart do you recommend? All the important crap, that's me. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to do it, I think, as soon as I get it in my mind and get it set up in such a way that it's going to come out good. You know what I mean? A lot of questions, good hookup, and I'm thinking maybe, depending on the questions, but I'm thinking maybe somewhere between a half hour to an hour at the most, and then we'll just call it quits at that point. So I'm working on it. Anyway, yeah, I know I can put out a thing on the internet saying, hey, we're going to have a video chat at this time on this day, blah, blah, blah. I know that. So I'm still looking. Silver Lake lady, you got to get rid of your cats. Cat lady. You want to be known as a cat lady? Get rid of your cats. Get them. Their name telling you to get rid of them up there, because I don't think their deed restriction says they only have to have 2. So she might be able to have 3 legally. Get them immunized. Give them shots. If you can't afford to get that stuff done, then you can't afford to have the cats. Really, just give them to a good home. 93-year-old memory care patient attacks roommate at local care facility. I feel sorry for him. I mean, I don't want to see anybody attacked, but I mean, in that situation, what are you going to do? My dad had Alzheimer's, so I know that Alzheimer's, dementia patients, their personalities can change, and that's what people mean when they say that's not my dad anymore, that's not my mom anymore, because it isn't. Fox News host Greg Gutfeld to sign copies of new book at Barnes & Noble. See, inside the bubble again. According to Villages News, a 4th town square is coming to the Villages. Yes, that is true. Matters of fact, during Beer Day last week, I noticed a large crane up there, and I think I've already done a video on this, but I'll announce it again, that they're putting in the pylons right now on this side, the Brownwood side of 44. Noticed a large crane up there, and I think I've already done a video on this, but I'll announce it again, that they're putting in the pylons right now on this side, the Brownwood side of 44. Yeah. the pylons for the golf cart bridge that's going to cross 44 to give you access to this side of 44, or to get you to Brownwood and then beyond. So at least we know now about where that bridge is going to be. So when I go down there to the beer day this week, which is tomorrow, I'm going to probably take my I don't know what camera I'm going to take. I should take this one because I got a zoom in on this one, and my GoPro is actually a better camera to take, but it don't have a zoom lens. I don't know, I'll figure it out, but I'm going to try to go down there a little early and park my golf cart and see how far I can walk and see how close I can get to where these pylons are being put in. I have to kind of show you in respect to where Brownwood is, to where the pylons are and the golf cart trail is, and how it is you're going to access this side. Oh, bad parking. You know what? I'm going to save this one here and do a whole video on nothing but bad parking down here. I really am. It's almost funny to watch some of this. Daryl's Diner was unanimously voted to give him the right-of-way. He wanted to change his hours. I didn't know you had to ask permission to change your hours, but I don't know where that was actually located, but he wanted to open up earlier for breakfast, like, I don't know what it was, 7 o'clock or something, or maybe he wanted to stay open later. It was one or the other, and he actually had to ask permission to do that. I don't know. But anyway, he got his permission to do it. Patio Villa found out of compliance due to stone in landscaping display. Yeah, let me see if I can get you a picture of this. Yeah, I don't know if I can get it up or not. Let me try here. I mean, I got my own opinions about it, but my opinion doesn't mean anything. It's all about deed compliance, your deed restrictions, and people seem to lose sight of that. That's all it's about, is that. And even though you can say, I like it because of this, I like it because of that, it saves water, it does this, it does that, that's all true. You're exactly right. I'm not even going to argue that point. But that's not what this is about. If you can't compare apples to oranges. So this is about deed compliance. That's all it's about. Okay, turn it sideways. Okay, I think I got it here. Can you see it, hopefully? Is that clear? There. There's the patio villa there. Here, let me point this way. Here's the patio villa here. All patio villas have the white little picket fence in front of them. That's how you know they're patio villas. The hedge and her tree and all that's fine. It's here. This was all grass at one time down here. And you have to water it and have it mowed and all that stuff. She had all the grass taken out. And she had landscaping rocks put in. In her area, that's against the deed restrictions. You can't do that without permission. She didn't get permission. And that's what it's all about. Somebody complained. Some neighbor said she didn't like it. I don't know. I don't know what the complaint was, but somebody said she didn't like it. He, she, I don't know who it was. That's all it takes. And then the board kicks in, and the ARC kicks in. You didn't get permission to do that. They knock on the door. They talk to you nicely. I mean, it's not, they don't strong arm anybody here. Please don't get that idea from me. But she got to take it out now. You got to put the grass back in, or whatever. And people are always doing stuff that around here. They spend a lot of money to get something done, just to find out later that somebody complained and they can't do that. It's against the deed restrictions, and I just don't get it. If you're going to spend several $1,000s to have something done, why wouldn't you at least go to the ARC board and get the permission to do it? It's usually an easy peasy thing. It's not a big deal. Most of them people at the ARC board really could care less about what you do to your house as long as you are within your deed restrictions of that area. And once they sign off on it, you're good to go. And then if a neighbor complains about it, they go down to the ARC board, they check it out, they're going to come back to that neighbor or whoever it was that complained, which is anonymous, by the way. You never know who that person is, and I understand that. They don't want neighbor fighting against neighbor, just in case. But If that person does complain and they go down to ARC and they find out, well, that person got permission to do that, they're going to go back to the original complainer and let them know in a nice way that person received permission from ARC to have that done. So there's nothing we can do. And that's the end of that. But if you don't get it done, it's going to take one complaint and you're going to be the guy going, I don't understand it. What's wrong with it? It looks okay to me. I think it's fine. Well, this is my property. I can do what I want to with it, right? That's what happens all the time. And the answer is just go down to ARC and get it done. Sometimes I think some of these people around here are like a bunch of children. They just don't seem to think that they have to listen. Longtime Villages restaurant server held on a $113,000 bond after armed robbery standoff in the Villages. Yeah, that was a big one in case you guys didn't get that. Server that worked for that company, I think it's FMK Foods or something like that. Anyway, they run the Belglade Country Club, Evans Prairie Country Club, Orange Blossom Country Club, Scooples down in Brownwood, and Bonifay Country Club. They run all them. And they're also, I think those are the ones that's putting in that new restaurant downtown Brownwood, the Fish Grill or something like that. I think these are the same people doing that. So anyway, this guy's worked for him for a long time. And something came up, don't remember what, but anyway, the police went to the house to arrest him for something, parole violation or something. He decided he's not going to jail. He goes out in the garage, gets in mommy and daddy's car, not his mom and dad, but her mom and dad's car, backs through the garage door, through the property, causing damages, past the police, and hauls ass. And the cops are dead on his butt, going after him. He went over some tire spikes, had flat tires. So anyway, he goes way out to Racetrack Road, I believe it is, before he finally stops, and they brought him down and they arrested him and took him in. That kind of stuff should never, ever happen in a retirement community. Mom and dad, why do you continually let your kids be kids? It's time for them to grow up. Go make a life. Make your own decisions. If they're wrong, my dad used to have a saying, and I never forgot it. Put a blister on your butt, you're going to sit on it. So if these kids make a bad decision out there, quit bailing them out. Let him work it out. That's what I got to say. He collected child pornography to protect his 13-year-old niece. Oh, Jesus. Bellevue man arrested after brother reports violent attack on his sister. Armed robbery suspect. This is the girl that was living with mommy and daddy, that had the boyfriend, that stole the car, that put him on a police chase. Stop making them stupid noises. She's a pretty girl, but let me just say, Allison, grow up. Go get a job. Get out of the house. Make a life for yourself. Your mom and dad deserves to have a peaceful retirement. The girlfriend of a longtime Villages restaurant server who was arrested in connection with an armed robbery at Belglade. That's what it was. He put on a mask at 1 a.m. knowing when the money was going to be deposited at the end of the business day. Went over to Belglade Country Club. He went in with a gun and a mask to rob the nighttime, I guess, manager there that he worked for. The nighttime manager, he's a tough old cookie. He says, you ain't taking this money. He fights the guy. And he ended up ripping the mask off his face. He recognized the guy, and apparently he must have said something like, what are you doing? That's when the guy took off. Now that he calls the police come out, they're going to the house, they're going to arrest the guy, right? And that's when the chase started. Allison Jill Loricella, 31, a floor manager at a local restaurant. Hell, she's working. What are you doing living with mommy and daddy if you're working? Was arrested Thursday after the owner reported 3 deposits missing. Oh, she's stealing too. The receipts from July 5 through July 7 were supposed to have been deposited at Citizens First Bank on Colony Boulevard, but when it was discovered that this didn't happen, the owner on Thursday called Sumter County's Police Department. Loricella had just gotten out of the Sumter County Detention Center late Wednesday afternoon after being arrested on possession of drug paraphernalia charges. Her arrest followed that of her boyfriend, 33-year-old Brian Christopher Davis, who is accused of robbing Belle Glade manager Steve Wajda early Tuesday morning and then holding up in Lucella's parents' nearby home at Alteza Lane in the normally quiet neighborhood of LaBelle North. And most of these neighborhoods are very quiet, very safe, very everything. It's always something like this that pops up. It's always this. Some 33-year-old kid, some 25-year-old grandkid. It's always that. Taken into custody shortly after noon Tuesday, after driving a vehicle through the home's garage door and leading deputies on a high-speed chase that ended off Micro Racetrack Road in Lake County. He faces a litany of charges. I know. They found syringes, burnt spoons in the bedroom, they said, which is consistent with illegal injectable narcotics use. How does mom and dad not know this? They always say, well, it's my daughter's room and it's private and I respect her privacy. Bullshit. It's your house. You're responsible for anything that happens in it. You've got the right to go in and out of that house, any door, bedroom, whatever, anytime you want, and look at anything you want because it's your house, your responsibility. And if your kid don't like it, just tell them like my dad told me. If you don't like my house rules, you're welcome to go out that door and go buy your own place, and you can live on your rules the way you want to. My house, my rules. That's the way it's always been. In my house, my grandkids and things know that. Yeah. There's no, that's your house, part of the house, and I'll stay out of it. No, not here. I get so tired of all these stupid things that people do, and everybody else has to pay the price, right? Anyway, they've arrested her. I don't want to read this whole thing. It's too long. They've arrested her, put her butt in jail, but I'm sure mommy and daddy will say she's misunderstood, and they'll go bail her out and hire a high-dollar attorney somewhere that'll tell her to go to rehab, and then all the charges will be dropped. Isn't that how it usually goes? Okay, resident alerts officials to her concern about outsiders buying houses for rentals in the villages. I read this. She's got a pretty decent slant on rentals. Look, rentals is something here that's always been here and it's always going to be here. I personally don't have a problem with rentals if it's done properly. I've always said that. I did it. So I don't have a problem with it. But she's taking a slant on rentals. Look, when they build a neighborhood, and basically the biggest rental property here by far is a villa of some kind, patio, courtyard, whatever. And I know of certain neighborhoods where they're building patio villas, and these investing companies, and I don't know who they are, I don't know what kind of investment companies and what they invest in, but I do know property must be one of them. They'll go into a patio villa neighborhood, and they'll buy a block of them, and they rent them out. And I'm sure they have their own little rental company that's associated with that investment company, and they just rent them out. They rent them out probably to any whipstitch that's got a check, a good check, and that's it. They don't care about kids. They don't care about anything. They do follow the restricted rules, saying that children can be here for 30 days, a year, or less. So pretty much when vacationers come down with kids, 8 or 9 or 10 kids, who cares, right? They give them a house to sustain those children, and they rent it out. So most people come down, they're here for maybe a 2-week vacation. So they're well within that 30 days a year. That's legal. They can do that. It doesn't say much for the rest of the residents that's in that neighborhood. Just try to imagine there's a street, goes straight down. On both sides of the street are patio villas, both sides. Some contractor or some investment company came in and bought 10 of them on the opposite side of the road that you live on. 10 of them all in a row. They're all rentals. You live on this side of the road. And that's all you do all day, all year long, is dealing with people that's in, out, in, out, in, out. parking all over the street that normally doesn't happen with people that live there permanently. Kids screaming and yelling and running up and down the road, and people bring their dogs that they don't know the rule about. If you're outside the house, your dog has to be on a leash at all times. People that live here full-time break that rule all the time. If it's on Village's property and it's outside your house, your dog has to be on the leash at all times. Now, that don't mean the dog park or anything like that, but if you're walking down the road, your dog has to be on a leash. If you're walking your dog has to be on a leash. And please, I see this once in a while, not very often, but I do see it once in a while, and I understand what's going on, but it's not the safest thing. I see people with little dogs on a leash in a golf cart, and their dog will be outside the golf cart walking down the road, and this person is in a golf cart driving while the dog's outside walking. I know of an instance 2 years ago where the person actually run over his dog with the golf cart doing the same thing and killed the dog. I mean, I just don't do it. Is there a rule against it? I don't know, but my common sense says that that's kind of a dangerous thing to do. So anyway, let's move on. The resident concerned about outsiders buying houses for rental properties in the Villages prompted a spirited discussions Friday morning at the Community Development District 2. That's way up north. I have noticed that a lot of investors outside the county are buying homes and turning them into rentals. The ratio of homeowners to seasonal is reversing, and more seniors are surrounded by empty homes or renters that have no relationship with them, said the Village of Santiago woman. She blamed the growth of renters for existing residents' loneliness and said renters are killing social activities. I'm not going to go on and on with that. I never really thought about that. She's right. When renters come in for a couple weeks at a time, they don't really care about social activities. Going next door and playing cards, having coffee in the morning with your neighbor, getting together for ladies' luncheons. They don't care. They're here for vacation. They're here for 2 weeks, mostly. So they're going to the pool, they're running down to the square, they're going out to dinner, they're doing what they're doing. So you got too many renters in one little area. Yeah, there really isn't much social activity going on in that area because there are so many part-time people there. When I say part-time, I'm not talking about seasonal renters, vacation renters. I'm here for 2 weeks and gone. You get too many of them, and there is no social activity in that area because they're here for vacation. They're not here to make friends, so to speak. Really never thought about that, but that's a good point. You know what? I got a lot more to go, and I've already changed my card for the 3rd time. This video is way too long. I'm going to have to cut the heck out of this thing. I hate editing, but I'm going to have to. So I'm just going to say on this glorious day, 80, what did it say, 85 today or something like that, sunny, puffy clouds. This is the rainy season. So we're going to get more rain this afternoon. And the humidity this time of year, because of the rainy season, the humidity is very, very high. This is why I always suggest people, if you're considering coming to the Villages full time, and you've really never spent a lot of time in Florida in the summer, and I've had a lot of people send me emails wanting my opinion about should I, here's what I like to do, here's what I don't like to do, blah, blah, blah. Should I be more interested in a full-time home or a part-time home? And I've always said, here's a very simple test for you. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you do nothing. I don't care. You come down here in the summer. I'm going to say June, July, August, one of those 3 months. Those are good. Come down and spend several weeks or even a month or two. You can rent homes down here in the summer very, very cheap. Very nice homes. In some cases, brand new homes. Because nobody comes down in the summer. Nobody wants to be here in the summer. It's hot. Everybody wants to come down here in the winter. Everybody loves it here in the winter. So that's not the problem. You're not going to have a problem here in the winter, other than traffic. But other than that, you're not going to have a problem with the weather in the winter. Come down in the middle of summer, June, July, August. And I don't mean come down for a week, because we may have a week where the weather is a little off. It might be a little cooler than normal, maybe a little hotter than normal, may get more rain than normal, may not get any rain at all. It all depends. But I'm saying come down and spend some serious quality time. A month minimum in summer. That'll give you a really good idea. If this weather here, if you're an active person especially, if this weather here in the summer doesn't really bother you that much, and keep in mind, the longer you're here, you get acclimated. You kind of get used to things, where you get used to high humidity and high heat, where you can go outside and, you know, play around all day. I doubt that, because age catches up with you. But you do get to the point where it doesn't bother you near as bad as maybe as it used to. But anyway, spend some time here in the summer, at least a month. Get out and do your normal whatever it is you do, and see how you're doing. At the end of that month, if you can say, you know what, this ain't so bad. I mean, I did get hot a couple of times, but all in all, you know, this ain't so bad. I can do this. If you can do that in the summer, then you're a very good candidate to be a full-timer. If you come down here, let's say I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just saying. Let's say you're overweight. Let's say you've got COPD. Let's say you've got some lung issues maybe. I don't know what they might be, bronchial problems or whatever. Maybe you smoke, and you could have some breathing problems or whatever. You come down here in the summer. If you can tolerate it, you're good to go. My guess is you're not going to be able to tolerate it. You're going to be in the house all day long in the air conditioning. You're not going to go outside. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But if you're an active person that want to get out, play some golf a couple times a week, maybe go down to the squares, maybe, you know, you just like to get out and do things. The weather here in the summer could be a big issue for you. I've got a friend that she'd like to come down and visit, but she's not going to come down until wintertime. She has breathing problems. I don't know from what. I really don't. I don't ask personal questions, but she has breathing problems. And so I've even told her, don't come down in the summer. You know, when you're welcome to come down and stay as long as you want, but come down in the winter. And I told her, I said, October's a good month, November's a good month. Right after Thanksgiving, the nighttime weather starts to drop a little bit, and it'll stay that way. January is probably the coldest month here. For her, January might be the most comfortable for her. Humidity is almost like, you know, non-existent. Here is like non-existent, and so she'd be much more comfortable down here in the winter. And I'm just saying that same thing to you. And it could come a day that, you know, as I get older, maybe that'll happen to me. I might be one of these guys that stays in the house all during the hottest part of the day and come out late in the afternoon or early evening or something. And if that happens, then it's a very good possibility the day may come that I might downsize to a patio villa somewhere or a courtyard villa somewhere and become a snowbird myself. And buy a little place up there close to my oldest son and daughter-in-law, you know, in case we need help. And then come down in the wintertime. And then when it gets to the point that traveling down here is really becoming too much of a problem, then I'll be selling that patio villa and then staying up there permanently. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But one never really knows, do you? But you always have to have the backup plan. You can never, at our age, you can never come down to a place like this and not have that backup plan, because we don't know. And that's maybe the scary part for most people. We just don't know. So just live your life today, have a good time, do what you want to do, and on that I'll just simply say, I'll see you all on the other side.